What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Designer Head. It's been a while and I apologize for that, but I keep apologizing every single time. The thing is, for the last, I think 6 months, I think that's the last time I did a video. I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember. I didn't even go and check on my YouTube channel to see when was the last time I recorded a video. But it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter because it's not an excuse really for not continuously recording videos. However, unfortunately, or fortunately, but mostly unfortunately, I have been very busy with many different things. Work, life, house, family, just a lot. And I understand that it's not really typically a reason to say, hey, I've been busy, so that's why I haven't been recording these videos, since I have committed to record these videos. However, I have been busy. And so life takes its course, and unfortunately sometimes we just lose time. We just lose the track of time, and that's what happened to me. I lost complete track of time, got busy with a lot of different things, and did not get a chance to sit down and actually record a video. But today is a special one because it's the last episode of this year. As I said once again, unfortunately, I did not record as many this year, but I'm hoping that I will next year. So there are a lot of different life changes in my life. One of them is the fact that I recently stepped down from my role that I held at an AI company, or an AI startup. And so kind of freed up a little bit of my time to invest into certain projects that I've been doing. One of them is my YouTube channel, so hopefully I will have more time to invest into this channel. But I really appreciate every single one of you that tunes in and still watches the videos. I can still see when people watch the videos or like the videos or respond to those videos. So really thank you, and I'm grateful for your support. Today's subject is going to be kind of not controversial necessarily, but in line of what's happening in the industry for the last 6, 7, 8 months. But hey, without further ado, let's hit it. All right, look at me, I'm standing. I got a standing desk. Yes, I got a standing desk. So you're probably gonna see the camera shifting and focusing a little bit. So what is the subject today? So today we are at December 20th, which means we're approaching Christmas and we're approaching New Year's. We just finished Hanukkah. So happy holidays to everyone. I wanna start by saying that. Now, what I really wanna talk about today is AI. I know. Wow, AI. Everyone is talking about it. I guess I'm gonna jump on that bandwagon as well. However, here's the thing. I want to talk about AI from a slightly different perspective today. A lot of the mentees over the last 6, 7 or so months have been reaching out to me and asking me to talk about AI. And it's not necessarily about the video that I created some time ago about if AI is going to replace us or not. That's not it. But what I wanted to talk about is about the fact of not only, or actually, let me change that. It's not going to be about which tools you should be utilizing to enhance your work life, your productivity, your profession. And as usual, my videos became a trademark now. I'm being distracted by my watch. It's not about which necessarily tools you should be utilizing to enhance your work or become more productive or become better at being a designer and so forth. Trust me, there is definitely a shit ton of articles already existing on that subject. There is a shit ton of different videos. There's a shit ton of different posts, social media posts and whatnot on the subject of which tools you should be utilizing to become a better designer or a better anything, really. What I want to concentrate today about is what is actually happening not today, but in 2024, and how are you ending the year? So if you're really thinking about your future career and where you're going, how you're growing, and what you'll be required to do in your next role, or the future of this economy, or the future of, artificial intelligence and everything else, the few things you need to consider really is not only, as I said, which tools you should be utilizing to become better at what you're doing, but also how do you actually design for the emerging technology. Follow me here for a minute. So it's not about utilizing things like ChatGPT or maybe Jasper AI or any other AI, so you have a Midjourney or whatever else, right? To kind of create a better workflow or processes or whatnot. But it's about how do you, as a designer, create and design for those emerging technologies. I will cover AR and VR probably in the next year, but today I want to concentrate about this. So let's think about it for a minute. So I've got a few questions that kind of recently were floating around different conversations that I've been having. And those questions are, how do I design for AI? Which means, how do I design for any AI feature or AI product or AI tool or whatever that might be? And honestly, here's my advice that I gave to that person specifically was, you have to go back in history. And the reason why I say you have to go back in history is because one of the things that I always find fascinating is some of the people who are fans of sci-fi and sci-fi writers specifically, write books, the novels, and so forth. They always see the sci-fi writers as the future predictors. They're saying, well, look at this writer that wrote about this and that. They predicted the future of so-and-so. They knew this is going to be coming. I want you all to think about this entire conversation of sci-fi novelists and prediction of the future in a slightly different approach and different mindset. I don't believe that they predict the future. What I do believe strongly is the fact that people reading these books, watching the movies, are getting inspired to build the technologies that these people thought about. Don't get me wrong, sci-fi novelists are incredibly creative of thinking about how might we, the very famous phrase that we utilize in the design industry, this is how we as designers try to understand how might we actually solve problems, or how might we rethink a specific product or feature or service. How might we solve this problem or that? How might we create something new, or whatever the case might be? And so this is how, in my view or my opinion, if you will, the sci-fi novelists are really thinking about the future and really thinking about creating those imaginary futures for the human race. So this is how they're trying to think about how might human beings or people communicate in the future. That's how they created things like mobile phones, flip phones, video communication, lasers, and whatnot. And all of these technologies exist today. Like you can go back and read novels or watch movies from the 70s and 80s or even 60s about the future, right? The robots and the lasers and the space travel and space communication, cellular communications, mobile devices, video communication, and so forth. All of this exists today because I think that the engineers and the inventors and the designers and people who create these technologies were simply inspired by those people who wrote about it originally. And so when I'm talking about being inspired by our history, that's what I'm talking about. When you're trying to think about how to design for AI specifically, one of the interesting things you can do, or one of the amazing things you can do, is literally take a bunch of popcorn, if you're into popcorn. I personally not. I know, not great, but hey. And just spend a day watching movies. People from some reason think that in order for you to do your work, you need to be sitting in front of a computer day in and day out in order to invent things or create things, but it's not true. The best minds created the best things while they were doing something completely different. And I already have a video on that. And so to some degree, some level of procrastination or some level of, I'm not going to do this now, I'm going to do something else, actually leads to a much better outcome of what we can invent and create as creators, because we are creators. Designers design things and we create new innovative things. So in order to do that, we need to draw an inspiration. And an inspiration cannot come out of a thin air. We have to do something to get inspired. It's very different to every person. But when it comes to designing for a very specific technology, we might as well draw some inspiration from very specific areas, which is a sci-fi industry. It's a sci-fi novels, it's a sci-fi movies, it's sci-fi video games, it is sci-fi forums, conversations, documentaries, articles, blog posts, videos, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to say, whatever you're going to find. As long as you find it, as long as you go through it and get that inspiration, because that will be your guiding force in creating the future of interactions, the future of design elements, the future of UIs, the future of products and features and interactions, and so forth. So yes, go have fucking fun. Go to a movie, spend some time on your couch, read a book, talk to people about sci-fi innovations and future, and imagine some crazy shit, and then sit down and jot it down on the paper or in Figma or in Sketch or in whatever tool rocks your world, but just get that inspiration first. History is not always there to be forgotten. Oftentimes, to draw the best inspirations is for us to understand what happened previously, or the history of who did what some decades ago. That can actually be helpful for you to design and innovate on certain things. Because if you're really looking at, think about, let's explore some ideas, right? So let's explore a movie with Tom Cruise called Minority Report. Minority Report essentially talks about a prediction system where you have these people who could predict the future or see somewhat into the future, combined with an artificial intelligence and combined with augmented reality, and suddenly you have this combination of a product, right? A software that is being utilized by police force of all places to see into the future, to understand if somebody will or might commit a crime at some point in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or whatever the case might be. But leave alone the plot. Put it aside. Put aside the plot. Put aside the acting and whatnot, and concentrate. Really spend the time watching the movie and paying attention to the technology, paying attention to the interfaces, paying attention to how Tom Cruise interacts with that specific software, or anyone else for that matter, right? And in that scenario, it showcases kind of this quarter circular, right, or bent view around you of different screens and elements where with a pinch or with a grab or with a gesture, he can move screens around. He can fast forward, back forward, and so forth, specific events and videos that were created, and so forth. So if you're thinking about it, this is a UI. This is a combination of essentially artificial intelligence and augmented reality without a headset necessarily, but right in front of you, because it could be projected, right? Just like another example, if we think about Tony Stark from Iron Man, right? And the one thing you see is always a holographic type augmented reality projected to Tony Stark, where he can, with, again, gestures and grabbing and pinching and whatnot, interact with building things, looking at things, exposing things, right? Diving deeper into specific elements or specific parts of a product, or robotics part of whatever he's working on. Again, it's a combination of AI, augmented reality, and holographic technology, which we all have today, hilariously, right? Without having a headset, right? So again, you can look at that specific UI and how it all works and how it interacts and how Tony Stark using it, right? So when you're thinking about how do you design the future of AI products or AI tech or any of that, you can always kind of go back and look at what was presented in those movies and pictures and so forth to draw that inspiration. Because one of the most difficult things about innovation is that there isn't a problem necessarily you can quote unquote solve, right? Because when somebody is inventing something, it's not always because they're trying to solve a very specific problem, but they're just chasing a specific dream, right? I don't think that somebody who started inventing AI had a very specific concrete problem in their head that they wanted to solve, and they decided that, I can solve it with AI, now I need to figure out how to build it. But all the emerging technologies are coming out of research, of understanding what's next. How can we push the boundaries of our human evolution and the technology and what we can do in the future, and how we can do better or be better or invent new, drug or new approach to different things. That's how these technologies oftentimes emerge. And then the commercialized side of it becomes of how do we utilize this technology in the real world to actually provide some value to people, such as, productivity, medical research, healthcare diagnosis. The list really goes on. So in lieu of all of that, going out and trying to understand, what kind of problems people are having with the product that doesn't actually exist yet is very difficult. But what you could do is going and understand what problem people are having just living their life, right? And that's one of the things that I also encourage any company or any designer or any team that embarks on this journey of creating something out of nothing, especially when it comes to AI. It's just basically going out and understanding how people live their life on a daily basis without necessarily trying to fit it into specific product or specific industry or specific niche or specific need. No, just watch or learn people living their life. That's it. And then within that, you can kind of figure out and understand in what places AI or similar to that technology can fit in to enhance and make that part of life better or more interesting or more effective or efficient or whatever else that might be. But try to understand more on the level of how people live their life and how this might fit into their specific life and how they go about it. When you do that, then obviously, build the feature you want to build or the product you want to build and go out and test it to make sure that whatever you build actually going to work and actually going to solve that specific need or a problem that you discovered by observing people's life. But once again, the beginning of this, where to start, really, you can look at the quote-unquote sci-fi imaginary assumptions, right? Or imaginary views of how people will be or could be or might be utilizing this technology in very specific way. So today, really, what I'm trying to communicate is, in order for you to try and think about how do you go about designing for the future of this technology called AI, artificial intelligence, it's not always just rush into the future. Oftentimes, it's really helpful and will be super beneficial and very educational to simply just look back at what people thought about before, at how they saw this thing working from the perspective of science fiction and how they imagined these things working. Because that could be your inspiration, and that could lead your inspiration into an amazing innovation in this specific field. So on that note, I want to make sure this was helpful, or I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, please, I'm always responding to every single comment or feedback or question. Just leave them down below. Share this video, because that's how the algorithm works on YouTube, to share with other people and have more people be exposed to this information. I hope this was helpful. Once again, I want to wish everyone happy holidays, an incredible 2024. I will see you all in 2024, hopefully. No, I plan on to. And I just want to say in closing that as much as this year have been difficult to some people, or a lot of people, with layoffs, new emergence of technology, uncertainty of what's going to happen in the future, AI may be taking over your work or not, and so forth, I truly want to wish you all to try to concentrate on the future and not dwell on the past. And I also want to wish you all to try and see the benefits of what happened rather than the downfalls. And I understand people lost their jobs, livelihood, might have gotten into debt and other problems. I get that. I truly do. Trust me. One day you'll learn that I really do. But at the end of the day, I think that every misfortune has some glimpse of the future fortune, where we can really understand and see what we can derive from the bad event and how we can utilize that to make our future better. So once again, happy holidays. Have an amazing new year. You can probably hear my dog running around. That's how it is for our family, is right there. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for this year's support for my YouTube channel. For me personally, thank you all for reaching out with your questions. Thank you all for inspiring some conversations for me. Thank you all for the support once again, and never stop learning.